On Overdrive today, let's find out what makes the new KTM 390 Duke more impressive than before. We take a look at the latest iteration of the Tata Nexon EV and ride India's most powerful electric motorcycle in Mumbai's infamous monsoon. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Soini Dutt. The new KTM 390 Duke is mind-blowing to say the least, or that is what the team has been telling me. The motorcycle is nimbler and more powerful than before, and the engine seems to have new character. Here's why Rohit has been gushing about it.
If you are shopping in the 300 to 400cc single-cylinder motorcycle space, there's plenty of action at the moment. Triumph has dropped the beautiful Speed 400. Apache has come back with a big surprise package in the form of the RTR 310. And now, the king of the segment returns in an all-new avatar. Say hello to the 2024 KTM 390 Duke.
All-new avatar indeed. New trellis frame with a new aluminium subframe, an all-new 399cc engine that is 26cc up on displacement over the outgoing motorcycle and subsequently up on power and torque too. And there is the all-new bodywork which looks a lot broader around the tank area and the front end. And there's an all-new metal tank which is up on capacity by 1.5 litres to a total of 15 litres. The handguards are gone, and the long tank shrouds and the new floating daytime running lights will instantly differentiate the 390 Duke from its lesser siblings. There is a new slimmer design for the wheels, and the front disc is mounted on the spokes instead of the hub for a leaner design. The front disc looks larger, but the size is unchanged, while the rear is up by 10mm, and these brakes continue to offer excellent bite as before. Whether you're commuting, attacking the racetrack, or simply stunting on the machine, the brakes will not disappoint.
The export model of the 390 Duke gets the Michelin Power 5 tires. However, we get the Metzeler M5s. Riding on the track, I am quite in love with these tires. Now, I've got a few mixed responses from the other riders, from the other journalists as well, where it does feel a bit twitchy, these tires, which I agree. But it's not something that is unnerving. It's not something that is going to sort of make you wary of corners. It is something that you know is there, but it's very measured. Check that out. Adjustable suspension.
Setting up the suspension will need basic training, but you won't need any fancy tools to set it up. The preload adjustment for the rear needs the C-spanner though.
Now for the Duke, the seat height is at 800mm. The export model has 820mm. If you think this is too short for you, you can always do a few modifications, bring it up to the export spec, and then get it up to 820mm if you so need.
The new geometry also helped bump up the ground clearance significantly. The result is on the track you get better cornering clearance, while on the road you get a better clearance over potholes and poor road conditions. The suspension feels more supple than before, and that firm edge is ironed out quite nicely.
The new display is simply easy to read. It is feature-rich, it is rich on the graphics, it is very easy to navigate through. Changing riding modes, etc. is absolutely simple. The track layout is what I really like the most, but even in sport, it I think looks quite nice. So overall, pretty impressed with this display. It will also pair with your headset. It can also pair with a corded headset. So all those connectivity options are right there. This is now a 400. So the displacement has gone up, the power has gone up, the torque has gone up. Now part of it is to make it compliant with the more stringent emission norms. Part of it is to bring it up to speed with the current times. It is perfectly poised for 2024 and up. But what is important is that the character of the engine has changed. Now you can happily trot around town at 40 kilometers an hour in 4th or 5th gear, and there'll still be no knocking from the engine. You don't really have to keep the engine on the boil all the time or in lower gears. It just feels a lot more tractable in that sense. And out on the track, when you're really going for it, there is that big edge in performance that you get over the outgoing 390. 80% of the power and torque is now available from as low as 5000 RPM. That's about 1000 RPM earlier than the outgoing 390 engine. So compared to that, the mid-range is something that you're really going to love. It is on-tap performance. It's very punchy. KTM has also worked on improving the cooling efficiency of the engine. There is a curved radiator, there are 2 fans, and the overall cooling efficiency, especially while riding in the city environment, is far better than before. It also doesn't throw up a lot of heat on your knees, on your legs. So the overall channeling of the air or the hot air is also quite nicely done.
The throttle response of the new engine is still very crisp. While the tractability is quite good, the engine comes into its wild zone only past the 5000 RPM mark. The motor gets buzzy after 8000 RPM, but unlike before, you won't have to keep the engine in high revs all the time, allowing you to enjoy the newfound refinement of this engine a lot more.
The new 390 Duke also gets multiple ride modes. You have rain, which will restrict the overall power and torque. It will reduce it. They have not given us the exact figure. It will also dull down the overall throttle response, and it will make the ABS and the traction control more intrusive. Then you have the street, which will give you full power, full traction control, full ABS. However, the intrusion from the ABS and traction control is going to be lesser. And then finally, you have the track mode. So once you long press, you're also going to now engage track mode. And with track mode, you also get launch control. Now here, the ABS is going to be at its minimum intervention. In fact, I've put it on the supermoto mode, which means I do not have ABS on the rear wheel. I only get anti-lock brakes on the front. You also get traction control. That is on right now. I'm going to turn that off because it is a lot of fun without the traction control. And you also get launch control.
The launch control can only be used 3 times in a row before the engine and the gearbox needs to cool down completely for it to be available again. With launch control, KTM claims a 0 to 60 km/h time of 2.4 seconds, while standstill to 100 takes only 5.9 seconds, which is quick, and it feels quick too. Top speed is 155 km/h, and the best that we saw on the speedometer was 164 km/h. The new Duke is a hoot to ride, just like its predecessors, but there's now a more refined edge to its mechanical performance, while the improved agility and power makes it a faster motorcycle in all respects.
The KTM 390 Duke does command a premium over its peers in the same segment, and you can see why. We'll take a very quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we'll tell you all about the outdated Tata Nexon EV.